Well, hello, this is Wilson Cole, and I want to welcome you to this edition of Marketing Moments. Today I want to talk about probably the single biggest reason why Adams, Evans, and Ross has seen some of the amazing growth that we've seen over the last 23 years, and also one of the reasons why Recruiting and Staffing Solutions magazine in the last 10 years has grown to 11 different magazines with 11 different associations here in the U.S. and in the U.K. And that is referred to, this technique, it's called different things. In the olden days, Jay Abraham used to refer to it as host benefit. I think the more common name these days is joint ventures. And basically a joint venture is when you go out to someone that may be in your market, out of your market, but they have customers, and it can work both ways. But let's assume that they have customers that share a similar characteristic to your existing customers. You know, one of the things that we did with Adams, Evans, and Ross, we use this technique quite a bit, but one of the simpler techniques was we went out to one of the software companies, and we basically said, look, we would love to get built into your software. And they built us into their software to where a company can press a button and all of a sudden the account gets placed for collections, or they can request credit reports. And what we do is we share a percentage of our revenue with that particular company. Sometimes it can be where if you send out an email to your list and recommending our service, you know, we're over on the collection side, we do credit and collections, but there's a lot of insurance companies that sell basically different types of insurance products to the staffing and recruiting industry, and there's times that we have promoted those companies that I know, and I know that they would do our clients a magnificent job, and so we would promote them to our clients, and in return they would do the same thing. One of the things that we did over on the magazine side, and this is what has basically exploded Recruiting and Staffing Solutions magazine's growth and revenues by almost 1,000%, and that is we went to the different associations and we reached long-term agreements to publish magazines for their membership. This one idea alone has just been an absolute game changer for us, and it's also been a game changer in the industry, because one of the neat things for the associations is they now all have a hard copy, professionally presented and professionally laid out magazine that gives their memberships value, and our advertisers now have more eyeballs on their ads. And we also it makes it very much easier for us to sell advertising, because we're no longer selling advertising in just one trade magazine. We're selling advertising in 10 different magazines. Now, another thing that you can certainly take a look at is take a look at how we did it, is take a look at non-competing companies that go after the same market that you do. If you sell software, then there may be someone that they do drug tests, or they do profile tests, or things along those lines. And you guys can feed leads back and forth and make recommendations to your list and to your clients. And that is one of the easiest ways also to get into a new market. You know, we made a decision long ago that we were going to stay solely in the staffing and recruiting industry, and we wouldn't have other vertical markets. Other companies do have vertical markets, so if you ever want to test a market to see if it's a right fit, this is certainly what I would do immediately, because you can go into an industry and instantly whoever you pair with, if they've been in business 20 years, all of a sudden you have the credibility of that 20-year company. And a lot of times it may take 5%, it may take 10% of your revenues, or some type of swap back and forth. But even if it costs you 10 or 20% of your revenues for the first year, if somebody came to you and they said, gee, I can give you a client and they'll give you $100 and I only want $10 or $20 of that, especially if it's only for the first 12 months and you keep a client for 5 or 10 years, then the return on the investment is just going to be huge. So don't overlook joint ventures in host benefit situations, And the first thing that I would do is sit down and create a list of companies that you can partner with.